In this video, I'm going to show you what worked to solve a fairly common problem on the Range Rover L322 series. Okay, this is an engine light resulting from an O2 sensor fault code. And the typical response, of course, is to replace the O2 sensor that's identified by the code. And when that doesn't work, you're going to need a method to find exhaust leaks and make a repair. Now, most likely your leak in this case is going to be either before the catalytic converter assembly, or it's going to be between the pre-cat and post-cat O2 sensors. Now, the vehicle responds to a problem like this. It sees it as a lean fuel mixture. So what it's going to do is it's going to dump additional fuel into the bank that's got the bad sensor code. It's going to reduce your mileage. It's going to reduce your power. It's going to be hard on the vehicle. So you want to identify and fix this problem as soon as possible. Now, Range Rover was aware that a number of the vehicles in this series had a defective seam weld. What would happen is the top of the catalytic converter, the seam weld would crack, gas would escape, and then you'd get a corruption between the pre-cat and post-cat O2 sensor data, okay? Now, they put an extended warranty on a number of the vehicles in that series, but by now, those vehicles are all going to be off warranty, so you're going to need to do this yourself. So in the video, what I'll show you is how to remove the catalytic converter. And I know you've seen videos of people stealing catalytic converters in 11 seconds. It's going to take a little bit longer if you want to salvage the catalytic converter and remove it from the flange. So it's going to take a little bit longer than that, but it's actually not that bad. We will need to cut the exhaust pipe to get it free from the system because this catalytic converter is part of the entire exhaust system. From the flanges back, the system is both catalytic converters, all four mufflers and tailpipes are all one piece, and we don't want to have to remove that entire assembly. All you have to do is remove the catalytic converter, make the weld repair. In this case, we welded all the way around the seam to do a repair, and then we need to put it back on. There's several ways to reattach a catalytic converter back to your exhaust system. So let's get started. Now, it all starts with an engine light on the dash, probably accompanied by poor fuel consumption and poor engine performance. And like any engine light, we're going to need to plug into the OBD port in the driver footwell to do a diagnostic scan and figure out what the problem is. And as we open up the scan, we can select read code, and we come up with the following message. Now, in plain English, bank 1, sensor 1. Sensor 1 is the sensor before the catalytic converter. Bank 1 is the cylinder bank that includes cylinder number 1, in this case the right side of the vehicle or passenger side of the vehicle. Cycle C means the car's seen this enough times and long enough to know that it's not going to go away, so it shows you an engine light. Now, to find an exhaust leak, I use a shop vac attached to one of the tailpipes, and if you have two tailpipes, all you have to do is put a bag over the second one and seal it with a rubber band so that you can maintain a vacuum in the system. And for smoke, I used an incense stick, and I have to tell you, my garage has never smelled better. So let's fire this up. First place I look is under the hood. What I'm doing here is checking the exhaust manifold. Before I go under the car and start looking at the exhaust pipes, I want to make sure I can rule out any problems with the exhaust manifold gasket leaking. And it looks like we're okay. So we're going to go under and check the attach points for the O2 sensors. That's the post-cat. Now we're going to check the pre-cat sensor, and let's check the flange connection as well, make sure that's not leaking. Looks good. I'm going to save you some time. I checked all the welds, and this is the one that I found. You can see here we've got a pretty obvious stream of smoke being sucked in here, and a leak this large won't allow the sensors to reach proper operating temperature because too much of the exhaust gas is being allowed to escape between the two sensors. And this crack starts along the top, and it's pretty tough access, so I'm going to use a mirror here to show you that that crack actually comes all the way down, so it's essentially the top half of that weld has opened up in a crack, so we're going to have to take these apart. These flange nuts sat overnight with the penetrating oil. I used liquid wrench, and evidently it worked just fine. And once we loosen those up, I'm going to also remove the pre-cat O2 sensor. I've got a wrench for that. And I unplugged it first because I don't want to put a twist on its cable. You may end up causing problems if you do that, so unplug it first. That way when you unwind it, you're not going to harm the cable. And once we get that off, we're going to completely remove the nuts on the flange. They're already loose, so it's fairly easy to finish the job here. And what you'll see is once you get the nuts completely off, this is free to come off, except of course we need to cut the pipe so we can release it. Now this is a metal blade that came with a pretty typical reciprocating saw, and this metal blade's going to cut through that stainless like butter. And as far as picking a location, you want to pick a straight section of pipe that's close to the catalytic converter, but not too close that you can't get your clamps on. Look at that, 3 seconds and we're already a third of the way through the pipe. And we have set the catalytic converter free, so we can easily remove that O2 sensor and put it on the bench and inspect it. Now you can see here I've already prepped it for welding. It also makes it easy to see the crack. And again, we've got almost 180-degree crack along the full top side of this weld. And presented like this at the local muffler shop, the guy was able to put a weld all the way around it for minimal cost, and he did it very quickly as well. And here's what it looks like when he's done. This is much stronger than the original factory weld. It's a little bit more robust. But if you choose to replace your catalytic converter, the reassembly will be similar. And to attach this to the vehicle, you could use a stainless band clamp. I prefer the steel coupling, it's a little bit stronger. You could use a saddle clamp or a U-bolt, whatever you want to call it. Problem is, once you torque those down, they're a little bit harder to take apart. So I prefer to use a lap joint. That's what this is. This is a stainless lap joint. And you slide it on first, and then you slip it over the end of that steel coupling. It's a good strong connection. And for a couple extra bucks, it has the advantage of being easily removable. In case you need to service anything later, you can take things apart. So that's my preference. The only thing about this steel coupling is it's got a little groove in it. Okay, that's a stop groove to help center it. Well, in this case, it'd be a lot easier to install without that. So we're going to remove the groove. Pretty easy to do. Just slip a steel pipe in there, use a hammer. All right, let's see if that worked. Yep, we have success. So now we're under the vehicle. We've got the repaired catalytic converter. We got the 2 flange nuts ready to go. And we've got the coupling and the other lap joint ready to go on the vehicle. And so we'll just slide the lap joint on first, and we can put our coupling on. And now we can attach the cat at the flange. And we're just going to hand tighten the nuts at first. We just basically want to hang the catalytic converter so it's not going to go anywhere. We'll come back and torque those down a little bit later. Get that second nut on there. Okay, now we can slide our coupling on, and we can just loosely put the 2 lap joints on either end of that. We're not going to tighten anything down just yet. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our pre-cat O2 sensor back on, tighten it down. Don't forget to plug it in. I've already torqued down the 2 flange nuts, so that end is complete. Now you'll notice with this post-cat O2 sensor, I'm back winding it. I'm untwisting it before putting it on. That way when I screw it on, the cable will untwist and there won't be a bind on the cable once it's tightened down. And I've got a slightly shorter O2 sensor wrench that I'm going to use on this one. Access was a little bit tight. Okay, now that's tightened down. We can hang the cable on its hangers, keep it out of harm's way. And we're ready to put a good torque on these 2 lap joints. And you're going to want to retighten these after about 100 miles. Same with the flange nuts. You want to come back after about 100 miles and just check all those connections. Okay, that's a good solid connection, and it's removable if you need to. So just kind of reviewing everything. Both O2 sensors are tightened down. They're both plugged in, and we are tightened at the clamps. So we're ready to clear the codes. And once we clear the codes and drive the vehicle for a few hundred miles, 14.5 average miles per gallon may not seem like much, but prior to this repair, the vehicle had dropped into the 10s. So this was a very effective repair. If you liked the video, please do give a thumbs up, subscribe for future videos, and to help out anybody else trying to do this, please do share this video. Thanks for watching.